Hello and welcome. This is my very first episode on my channel, and hopefully it will be one of many because, I'm passionate about a few things in life, and one of them has always been pinball. I mean, it's a matter of fact. Ever since I was a little kid, going to the arcade, going to the bowling alley, going to the miniature golf place, whatever the case may be, I always loved pinball, and so do you, because otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on the link and opened up the video. But I appreciate you clicking on it, and I'm going to tell you what this channel is about right off the bat. I don't want to waste anybody's time because, there's other things you could be watching, other things you could be doing. But I believe this channel is going to be something that's going to be a benefit to you if you want to get into the pinball hobby and into the pinball community. I think this channel is going to be an asset for you because it's going to help you in a lot of areas. First let me preface, you're probably thinking to yourself, there are so many videos out there, so many people doing pinball tutorials and reviews and all this stuff. And for one, I have nothing against anybody else out there doing this. I've watched a lot of their videos. I've seen a lot of them. And I still do that. I'll watch reviews on stuff. And you'll see these, and they'll have a bunch of pinball machines behind them. And if you've been in the hobby or you start looking around, hey, how much is a pinball machine? And you start looking at what's out there, what they have, this and that. And you start looking at it, and it really starts adding up. You look at Sonic the Hedgehog. If they have that, and the cheapest version of Sonic the Hedgehog was $10,000. I mean, that's a car. And they also made a $12,000 version, and they also made a $15,000 collector's edition. And it's beautiful. Oh, I'd love to have one. If for some reason I came into a ton of money, would I get one? I don't know. It's still a lot of money, but I would love to have one. But when you start doing the math, when you look behind and you see how everybody, that they have these channels and, one game's $10,000, another one's $12,000, another one's $9,000, a couple $4,000, a couple $8,000, and on and on and on. I was watching one channel where I was adding up the guy's games, and he had about $120,000 worth of games. And, I look at it and I'm going, I'm probably older than that guy. Maybe he was better with his money. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is I like pinball, and you like pinball as well. And there's ways to get into this hobby that, it's not going to break the bank, and it's going to make it where you could have a pinball machine in your living room. You could have one in your garage, or maybe in your den or game room, whatever the case may be. And it's neat when people come over because you're hanging out, you're doing stuff, and then they go, "Oh, you got a pinball machine." And for one, most of the time they call it a ping pong machine or something, but you can't fault them for that as well. But they start playing it, and they start liking it, and they start getting involved in it. And next thing you know, they're wanting to go play. They're going to go do stuff. And so the whole point of this channel is to show you how you can get into the hobby like I got in the hobby, and a lot of people get in the hobby, and it's not going to be with, $10,000 games, $12,000 games and all that. If that happens in life, that'd be great. There's a lot of places out there where they have these on location where you could go play them. But just as for having one in your home, it's amazing to have that. So the fact of the matter is Sonic the Hedgehog, I'd love for that to be in my house, but I'm probably not going to have Sonic the Hedgehog in my house. Probably not going to have a Transformers in my house anytime soon. So when you look at it like that, and you wonder, well, what can I have? What can I get? And that's what this channel is going to go over, because we limit ourselves so much. We look at it and we go, well, I can't have this, I can't have that. Well, how about we focus on what we can do? How about we focus on what we can have instead of what we can't have? And once you do that and you get involved in the hobby, and there's a lot to this hobby. There's a lot to this hobby. So the point of my channel is to basically shed some light on that. Maybe dispel some myths, maybe help you in different areas, steer you in the right direction, because there's a lot of content for this. And there's a niche for this. There's a need for this. Because when you look at it, there's a lot of reviews, there's a lot of this, there's a lot of that. But what about for the average person looking to get into the hobby? Looking to get in, to be able to get off work and have dinner, you put the kids to bed and you go, me and my wife, we're going to play a couple games of pinball. We're going to do that, because when people in your family start getting involved in it and start being a part of the hobby as well, it's an amazing thing. It's fun. It's fun when you go on trips to go pick up a game with your kid. And I'm going to go over that. I'm going to tell stories. I'm going to show what I've learned and what you can learn from it to be able to do that. Because it's an amazing thing. Pinball's been around for almost 100 years. And people don't realize that. People don't realize that. Once you start looking at the evolution of it and everything like that, it's an amazing thing. When you look at the history of it, one of the best developers, or one of the best designers that I've ever played his tables, I love Steve Ritchie. Steve Ritchie made High Speed. He made High Speed 2. He made Black Knight 2000. He made Firepower, F-14 Tomcat, Roller Games, AC/DC, World Poker Tour, and he made Sonic the Hedgehog. He made Sonic the Hedgehog for Jersey Jack, and he also made Star Trek The Next Generation. That was my favorite Star Trek series, was The Next Generation, and that was a wide body table, and Steve Ritchie makes amazing games. And when you look at it, this guy was designing games when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, when I was like 2 years old, he was working for Atari making games, and now he's making Sonic the Hedgehog, and he's made a bunch of others. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying games on location, but for the most part, having one in your home is just something that you can do, and I'm here to show you how to do that. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me, and we'll see where it goes.